Our explanation on kaya will be, which is stated in all these sutras. So it consists both or everything between the body and mind.
All right.
Okay. We suppose with kaya, I think in the body, whereby eventually you will lead to your samadhi. And if it's in the mind, it will eventually lead you to the vipassana. That's our summary and conclusion of kaya.
Sweet and simple. Okay, thank you.
Just want to get everybody to look at your workbooks. The question is to ask what is kāyagatāsati, and we have come intense discussion from meditation practices to understanding the mind and so on and so forth. And the more we talk, I think the more confused we get. So you wanted to look at the question again, and the question asks us to look at individual suttas, right? So we thought maybe each sutta would define or give a characteristic of what kāyagatāsati is, may not give the full explanation, right? So in the first sutta, in the Ekadharma, what we understand is kāyagatāsati is listed as one of the 10 ways one can gain nibbana, right? So in this sutta, it leads on to think that probably the definition for this is if you do this, it will lead to nibbana, right? And the next sutta also reinforces that, right? So these two suttas supports this idea that if you practice this, it will lead you to nibbana, one of the 10 ways, okay? In the next sutta, which is the Ananda Sutta, so Ananda Sutta and the Rahula Sutta is listed here, but they talk about the Asubha practices. So I think based on us understanding in page 30, the last two lines, okay, developing the mind on foulness, that means focusing on the Asubha practices, okay, when with concentration, you can apply mindfulness to the body. From what we understand is kāyagatāsati, in a way, is also inclusive of the understanding of the foulness of the body, right? And in Rahula Sutta, this is further reinforced, but in this case, is the other way around. You first look at the body and leading towards imperfections of the body. Okay, I'll pass to Brother Siwan to talk about the next sutta.
I think what we are trying to ask here is that kāyassati, what is the scope of kaya? I will start from there. The first sutta, which is the Ekadharma Sutta, seems to say that the kaya here is not necessarily referring to the breathing as I say, and this is further substantiated by the Aparachara Sangha Vaivango Sutta. And in the next sutta, which is the Ananda Sutta, it did mention be engrossed in revulsion. So it seems that it's not also referring to the physical body. And the same is being reflected in Rahula Sutta, where it mentioned be one with much weariness of the world. Okay, so it's not referring to the body as well, it's not referring to just the breath. Then in the Kim Sukopama Sutta, the things that attracts me is the city. So the city is kaya. So what strikes me is that the kaya here might be referring to the mind, which is the citta. You did mention that it's luminous, it is bright, so it's empty. So it might be referring to that.
Is there any reference to luminosity of the mind here?
No, because just now you did explain that the city here has got a bigger scope, which may include the citta as well. So when you showed the equation citta equals something plus the tree, I'm not very familiar with the words. You drew a cup, then the tree drops of ink or something. So, yeah, Vedana. So basically the mind is like made up of these combinations.
Okay.
Yeah. So for the next sutta, which is the Upatipatika Sutta, so this one basically says that if a person has transcended his physical faculty, then you still refer to the kaya here. So it shows that the body doesn't refer to the physical faculty.
Kaya doesn't refer to the body.
Kaya, no, it does not refer to the physical faculty. And then in the Kitagiri Sutta, where the person has transcended form, even after he has transcended form, we still mention the word kaya here. So kaya doesn't necessarily mean form.
So what does it mean?
Okay. Yeah. Limiting what? And then the final one in page 38, Kāyassati Sutta, number 9, it seems that when everything has already been transcended, yet they are still referring to kaya. So my thought is that the kaya is the city, which is the chitta itself. Because chitta, you did mention, is a luminous, bright, basically it's a white piece of paper like that, right? So finally, I do not know.
Okay.
So it's just to identify what is the scope of kaya.
So what is kāyagatāsati? You still haven't answered the question.
So it's something for us to find out.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Kaya, as far as we understand, is something beyond our physical body. So it entails a lot of other things. Okay.
Based on what did you arrive at such a conclusion?
Based on the sutta
Okay.
that I'm going through.
Okay, good.
Okay? Align, yeah? Okay. Okay. So we have actually gone through some of these suttas. And the first sutta that we are looking at, basically, that can explain this is actually the Ika Dhamma, where we are looking beyond the body, like, for example, we need to think of the Buddha, contemplating, right? Recollection of the virtues, good behavior, all the good deeds.
How is that related to kāyagatāsati?
Because this is something to do with our mind.
I know it's something to do with the mind, but
Yes.
kāyagatāsati is listed as one of the things, one of the 10.
Yes.
Just like Buddhanusati and Dhammanusati and so forth.
So this is over and above the kāyagatāsati, right?
Okay, anyway.
Because kāyagatāsati is actually one of the 10s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you should not include Buddhanusati because it's something else.
Okay. Then we go to the second sutta. It's a reinforcement of the Ika Dhamma Sutta. This actually maybe you further contemplate. It's a second level. You go deeper into it.
Okay, go ahead.
Actually, I asked this question. Actually, I asked my team also, what is the meaning of develop? You go further insights. How? Maybe Bante can guide me a bit on this. Okay,
Yes.
Right. So the Ananda Sutta, basically, we are talking about impermanence, and we should not cling on or grasp on certain things because these are a form of suffering. When you don't get it, it's a form of suffering. So we have to learn to let go. In layman term lah.
I know, but what's that got to do with kāyagatāsati?
Because this is our state of mind.
I don't see any relation between kāyagatāsati and...
I'll show you later on the city.
Wait. Slowly. You go sutta by sutta. Anyway,
When I
Next
go
one.
to the Kim Soko Pama,
How about Rahula Sutta? You say something about it?
It is actually, these two are basically quite similar.
Okay, all right.
Right. So this is actually like our mind, okay? Right? It's our mind. So our mind, basically, we have 4 important elements, right? Also, there are 6 senses within our mind, right? So the 6 senses, to some extent, will have certain control over what we think. To attain the wisdom, to ensure that we are doing the right thing, we will apply the Noble Eightfold Path. That is actually the messenger. Just now we talked about the serenity and all this to our mind, right? So if you go for meditation, then you achieve wisdom. And we have wisdom, then you will have all the right view, right speech, right concentration, and the right action. I'm not sure whether I'm talking the right thing. I'm everywhere now. Are you with me?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for trying.
For our discussion, we came to these points. Be free to disagree with us, especially Bante. The first one that we saw from the sutta is that kāyagatāsati, the mindfulness of the body or directed to the body, is one of the practice that will lead to Nibbana. If you look at I can't remember the first or second sutta. Then next, it contributes towards the development of jhana, especially the first jhana. Jhana is when we do meditation. Similarly, it also contributes towards the practice on the revulsion of the body. Just now we have the Rahula Sutta, which is reverse. You practice the kāyagatāsati first, then the result is understanding of the revulsion of the body. Then our understanding of the next sutta is that the mindfulness directed to the body, under Noble Eightfold Path, there is right concentration. So our understanding, that it is one of the factors of the Noble Eightfold Path, because it's right mindfulness, right concentration. The last three suttas talk a lot about jhanas. Our understanding is that by practicing kāyasati or kāyagatāsati, it will then help us to achieve the jhanas. The last point, I hope Bhante will help us, and the rest, we'll see what you all present. We have difficulty understanding the last two suttas. So what we can understand from the last two suttas is that, because it talks a lot about the four jhanas, and our understanding of jhanas is that from first to third jhanas, where you have the cessation of pain, displeasure, and the arising pleasure, then the final jhana is, the fourth jhana, the highest jhana is the joy faculty ceases and we reach equanimity. Okay, so how does it relate back to kāyagatāsati? Our understanding is that it leads to the development of jhana. That is our understanding. And lastly, but not least, but we hope Bhante can help us. We were struggling a lot with the term body witness. We were trying to see how does it relate back to this. So we really sincerely hope Bhante can help us. We really cannot comprehend that part. Thank you.
How to practice kāyagatāsati?
To us, it's simple, because kāyagatāsati is mindfulness direct to the body. Like what we have done just now in meditation, we are actually mindful of our five faculties, like what we are acknowledging and addressing it. So it will allow us not to let the mind go astray. Once we're able to calm the mind down, it will lead to more mindfulness.
Okay, thank you. Does it enlighten you or make you more confused?
So, what we read on the question is kaya, whether the meaning is it physical body or not. As in physical body means, all our leg, hand, head, body, physically. Or other meanings, yeah. Sutta number 1, the one thing. So, if you read 296, there's one thing that all bhikkhus need to develop to lead to nibbana. Basically, 1 out of the 10 that is mentioned, item number 8 is called mindfulness directed to the body. So our interpretation here, whether is it physical or not. So when we read through the first 9 items, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, virtuous behavior, these are all not physical, including breathing. Breathing, is it physical? Yeah.
Is Dhamma physical?
Yeah. So as in, to our English is physical means you must see with your eyes and you can feel it. So we say that for the Eka Dharma, we say that 304 is actually physical body that you restrain. I mean, based on the second discussion earlier on. So mindfulness directed to the body means like you restrain your eyes. When your eyes see something, pleasure or displeasure, then you try to restrain it and meditate on that. So it's physical. to us, it's called physical.
Okay.
Okay?
Right.
Then Sutta 2, Aparachara Sankatawako. This is very long. This is a finger snap, meaning like the Buddha said, snap a finger, then what does the bhikkhu think? Yeah, in development.
Not physical.
Finger snap. So immediately you think of another 10 things similar to the first one. Then item number 493 also say that the mindfulness have to direct to the body. So what does it mean? So when a snap of a finger, what do you think? So you say, oh, okay, we think of all the 9 things, including the physical body, which include the breathing as well. So here we like thinking, okay, it should be physical. So you have to restrain all your organs.
Organs.
So then we go to the Anatta Sutta. Here is mentioned all this about sensation, and the last all about emotions. But then when we read until this one point well concentrated, apply your mindfulness to the body. So now this body, is it physical? We also think that it's physical. Okay, you wait until finish. Then we go to the Lahula Sutta. So this way when we read, we say that, okay, you need to avoid the sign. Beautiful connect with passion. Then after that, it say that let your mindfulness be gone to the body. You need to avoid all this passion. It's very emotional. So when you go to emotional, we say that, look, this may not be just physical. It include your desire and emotion that you may need to let go. The next sutta called Kimsuko Pama Sutta. When we read about this simile, it's about the frontier city with the 6 gate and 4 elements. So here on the simile, basically there's a meaning when you say the city is the destination for this body, which is another body here and called kaya, but it goes into 4 elements. So the 4 elements here, when we read through about the element of water, heat, air, and the earth, then it changed in the form. Hence, we say that, look, this more than physical. It includes 6 internal senses and bases as well.
Okay.
Means it's mind. Okay. So you have to develop all the senses then.
Is there anything mentioned about developing the senses?
Not yet. Here is just definition.
Okay.
Then the next one is Upati Patika Sutta. Okay. Now this is where the bhikkhus talk about these 5 faculties, which is the pleasure, pain, joy, displeasure, and equanimity. Now then when we read through the 3rd paragraph, this is where the body again is mentioned. Then the question, where does the arising of pleasure faculty cease without reminder? Now here the definition of this body, because he said that experience happiness with the body. Again we are thinking, is it physical or not physical? But then it continued to say equanimous, mindful, one who dwells happily, then arising pleasure faculty cease without reminder. So the interpretation that we have here is not physical and it's your state of mind for you to enter those jhana. And here is mentioned 3rd jhana. The next sutta, Kitagiri. So when we read this, is the liberation in both ways. Here is like person contact the body, again body is mentioned here, and abide in those liberation are peaceful in material. Now what we read is, it seems to be non-form. Means it no longer physical. It's actually your mind, or transcending forms means totally non-physical. But we don't know what is it. Okay, the last one is kāyassati Sutta. Okay, here there's a body weakness. Body sounds physical, and weakness also sounds physical. First one is physical, 2 to 4 sounds physical. Number 5 to 8 is talking about surmounting of perception of forms. With the passing away of perception sensory impingement. So with non-attention to perception of diversity, aware of space is infinite. So this is talking about infinity of consciousness. Totally gone beyond form. So it's beyond physical as well.
So, conclusion?
Conclusion, the so-called kāyassati is not physical only.
So, what is it and how to practice?
Supposedly you need to develop that, but we don't know how to. That's why we are here.
Okay.
Bande, we were actually very confused before the tea break. But after the tea break, I think we got some inspiration and some clue on the meaning of kāyasati and kāyagatāsati. based on the Veda Sutta. First of all, in the Ananda Sutta, on page 30, we found the mention about the mind on the body, or mindfulness of foulness. Foulness is a part of the mindfulness of the body. So we say that this one, we are talking about the material form, which is the meaning of kaya in this case.
Why is it body? Because it's translated as body, you think it's body, is it?
Foulness of the body. We think it's foulness of the body. Because this is basically what we understand by asubha.
But asubha is one thing, right? Is asubha the same as kāyagatāsati?
No. Foulness of the body.
Okay.
The body in this case is kaya.
That means asubha is kāyagatāsati lah.
Now we are talking about the definition of kaya, not kāyagātāsati. We define kaya first. What's the meaning of kaya? We try to find out what's the meaning of kaya.
Okay.
In this case.
So kaya means non-beauty.
The foulness of the body is one of the definition or one of the characteristics of the body.
Okay.
All right. Same as Rahula Sutta. Also, we saw the foulness of the body is also mentioned. In the third sutta, Kimsu Kopana Sutta, there's also mention about the four elements, which is very obviously mentioning about the material body. In this case, Rupa. In the fourth sutta, Kitakiri Sutta, page 36, Kitakiri Sutta mention about the liberation in both the body as well as the immaterial form. So in this case, both material and the immaterial can be construed as kaya. And in Upati Patika Sutta, page 34, they're talking about the four rupa jhanas. So this is basically in the material body form. And in the last sutta, kāyassati Sutta, both rupa jhanas and arupa jhanas are mentioned. And therefore, we come to a conclusion that kaya includes both rupa and arupa. Or, in this case, the forms or the mental body. So, that is the definition of kaya. Sati means mindfulness. Therefore, kāyassati is mindfulness of the body. Or kāyagatāsati is mindfulness directed to the body.
The body means physical or non-physical? Both.
Physical and immaterial.
Okay. All right, thank you.
The first two suttas, Ekadama and the second suttas, Bhante has pointed out to us that the mindfulness of breathing and the mindfulness directed to the body, both are referring to the body, but they are different bodies. And we can't make up what are the difference in these two suttas. But from the third and the fourth suttas, Ananda and Rahula, we can tell that the Asubha meditation, the foulness of the body, we can see that that is indicating that there's a physical body. So here we can infer that the kāyassati in these two suttas is actually the physical body. Then for number 5 and number 6, for number 5, in this sutta, the city is designated as the physical body, born out of the parents and out of food. So this clearly indicated that kāyassati is the physical body. Then for number 6, the upatipatika, for the third jhana, if you're still experiencing the mental bodily happiness, infers that the kāyassati, in this case, is a mental body. Right. Then number 7, the kitagiri, here is clearly say that these two, there are physical and mental body here.
Why physical and mental?
Because the person who is liberated in both ways, he's contacted with the body. And then this body here, we think that it is immaterial body. Because he has transcending the forms, so we think here is the mental body. And further on, what kind of person is a body weakness? Here some person contacts with the body and abides in those liberation. Now in this statement, it implies that this person is less than Arahant because he's only a body weakness. So a body weakness is a person who still contact with his physical body. So we implied that in this sutta, the body is referring to the physical body and the mental body.
Okay, so how do you practice kāyagatāsati?
you do the jhana 1 to 4, you overcome the material jhana and the body. Then go to the jhana 5 to 9. Then you will look into the immaterial jhanas, and you can see that the body has physical body and mental bodies.
So how about the sutta on the most beautiful girl of the land? Was the person carrying the bowl of oil practicing the jhanas? The Buddha says that the person who is carrying that bowl of oil,
Yes.
right,
Yes.
is a simile for kāyagatāsati.
Yes.
How do you relate that to this? Or to the simile of the 6 animals, where kāyagatāsati is likened to a firm or a strong post or pillar?
Pillar in the 6 animals, I take it as the mental body, which is not part of the 6 sense organs context. The 6 animals are referring to the 6 sense organs, the 6 sense bases, right? So I think the pillar is not part of it. The pillar is the mental body.
But the mind is the 6th sense, no?
Yeah. No answer for that.
Okay, thank you for sharing.
I'm very confused. And those in my group are equally as confused. And I believe many are confused too. But somehow, they try to explain and do it to the best of their ability. Okay? So,
Taru.
from what I gather, I will try to do my best. Okay, first of all, I have Googled. Okay, and the meaning of it, there is no kāyassati in the Google. Kāyassati, I can't find it, but I could find kāyagatāsati. Okay, so the meaning of it is a Pali Buddhist sutta which outlines the development of mindfulness through contemplation of the body in order to reach jhana. Okay, so it's actually to develop the mind, to make the mind mindful, and you...
Do you know the number of the sutta?
Tak ada. It's not in the... Maybe if I have time...
It's here. I already mentioned it right at the beginning of this section.
Oh, I see.
kāyagatāsati Sutta, MN 119.
Oh. But we wouldn't remember it. What we want is the meaning of it rather than...
No, I want you to give me the meaning based on the extracts, not from Google.
Okay, so I repeat, what they're trying to say is to develop the mind through contemplation of the body.
No. Where you get that? Not from Google. No, I don't want from Google.
Don't want,
I want from this.
Okay. So my understanding together with the rest of the members of the group is that kāyagatāsati, which is the same as kāyassati. They are the same. Yeah, the same. Okay. Kaya, you all know what is kaya, right?
No. You don't know, that's why we are coming to this section.
No. Minus this, do you all know what is kaya? Yes, everybody will know, right? Okay? Kayas is actually the body. It's a physical body. Whereas the sakti refers to the mental, which I put an arrow to show down there is the mental part. That means it's the brain, it's the consciousness, that portion. So when you put two together, it's mindfulness of the body. Right? Okay. And how we can achieve this? I think Bante did ask one of the group. Yeah, I would agree. I think you're not mistaken. It's group 5 or so. They say it's through jhana, right? Jhana, which I'll put it as layman's term, meditation. Okay. And how to achieve it? Please refer to the book. Okay. Now at the moment, as I was explaining, I'm in the dark, okay? I speak for myself. I'm in the dark and I just managed to touch the elephant's leg. I don't know what it is. To me, it's a pillar. It's not an elephant because I don't see the whole thing in total. I am not able to see the whole thing in total. So I'm only seeing a small part. So Bhante, sorry if I explain wrongly. Okay, so I will say that the mindfulness of the body is two parts. One is the physical part and the other one is the mental part. And how we can achieve it is through meditation. Okay, if we are able to achieve kāyassati, we will be able to develop peace, right? Recollection of peace.
Why is that related to recollection of peace?
Because the mind is calm.
Is that based on any sutta?
I think the front part, yes, this one part, I copied all the words out from page 32 or 34.
Yeah, I mean there's a list of 10 meditations. And the last one is recollection of peace. Before that is mindfulness of kaya.
Yeah.
Right not? And before that is asubha. And then before that
I can't see the whole thing, I just see one part of it. Okay, now my next explanation would be kāyas, which is the body, and it refers to pleasure and pain. Sakti, which is the mental, it refers to displeasure, joy, equanimity, part of the brain.
How is that related to kaya?
There are 5 faculties, you see. Pleasure, pain, displeasure, joy, equanimity. Two are for the bodies, yeah? It refers to the bodies, and 3 refers to the mental stage, the mental part of the brain.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for trying.
Okay, so from the monks' analysis of these suttas, we came to the conclusion that we can understand this term fairly clearly in 2 ways. Like either in a physical sense, like kaya is physical body, or in an idiomatic sense, as experiencing directly. The first 2 suttas are the list of the 10 anusati, in which both anapanasati and kāyagatāsati are mentioned, which is a bit ambiguous then, could suggest that then kāyagatāsati may refer to something other. But our feeling is that it's not uncommon in lists to have some redundancy, so perhaps to emphasize the practice of anapanasati, since there's many practices listed in the kāyagatāsati sutta, or to fill a list to get to 10. But so we have a question mark here because it is ambiguous. But based on the context of the sutta, it doesn't give any suggestion that it could be anything else in these particular suttas. It's just a term listed. But yeah, we recognize the ambiguity. And then, so moving on then to the Ananda Sutta, we all felt that it should be understood as the physical body, mindfulness of the physical body. It's mentioned in context of developing foulness, develop the mind on foulness, one-pointed, well-concentrated, applying your mindfulness to the body, be engrossed in revulsion. So our feeling is that it's not necessarily a progression in this stanza, and that it could be a repetition for emphasis on the practice of mindfulness of the body, or things related to the physical body. And also because revulsion is mentioned, well, at the beginning it's foulness, and revulsion, nibbida at the end as well. So it kind of comes back, a similar concept, but not exactly the same. So our feeling was that in this context, we can still understand it in terms of the physical body. And the Ananda Sutta is basically the same. There's not much difference here. We felt that the term nibbida bahulo bhava doesn't necessarily mean the world. Nibbida can refer to the body. So it could be to let your mindfulness be gone to the body, be one with much weariness regarding the body. In the Pali itself, there isn't an object of that. So we felt that it could be interpreted in other ways. So that's Ananda and Rahula. Let me see. So moving on, we have the Kingsukha Sutta, the one with the simile of the city. So in this sutta, we do have a clear definition of the kaya. So one place where we do get a definition, and in this definition, it seems quite clear to be the physical body. So this is the designation for the body, consisting of the four great elements originating from mother and father, built up out of boiled rice and gruel, subject to impermanence, to being worn and rubbed away, to breaking apart and dispersal. And so to me, this seems to be referring to the physical body. So this is what the city is defined as. And then also the fact that the gatekeeper, he's kind of guarding the city. So although it doesn't say, there's no actual term kāyagatāsati here, the fact that the gatekeeper is guarding the city might suggest that it is guarding the physical body. It's mindfulness gone to the physical body. So our feeling was that this sutta could also be interpreted in that way. Yeah, it could only be interpreted in this way. It doesn't suggest anything else. And then moving on to the sutta about the irregular order. What our understanding of this term here is sukhancha kayena patisangvedeti, was that it's an idiomatic sense. It's similar to the following two suttas. It's in the same grammatical case, kayena, like the instrumental case, and maybe suggesting like he experiences happiness directly. It's like a direct experience of happiness. You can touch it. It may have been an idiom at the time of the Buddha, and we felt that this was the interpretation of the term here that made the most sense to us. Following this, we have the Kittagiri Sutta, which talks about the body witness. And then following that is also another sutta about the body witness, the kāyassati Sutta. And then this is the same, basically, like the irregular order sutta, that we felt that this was an idiom. So here someone contacts with the body and abides in those liberations that are peaceful and immaterial, transcending forms, and is tamed to destroyed by seeing with wisdom. So we felt that's like, here someone contacts directly and abides in those liberations. So you could say it's an ambiguity as well, in the sense that it's not really clearly defined, and the fact that the immaterial attainments are listed here would suggest that it can't be understood in a physical way. But we felt that there wasn't a need to draw the conclusion that it was a mental body, even though in the kāyassati Sutta, the commentary interprets it as a mental body, brings in the term sahajata nama kayena pusitva, so with the coexistent mental body. But this is commentary, and in any instance where the commentary comments on something, it's always up to our own discretion. We can follow that. If that makes sense, then that's fine. But if there are other interpretations, it's not necessary to actually stick with that. So we felt that it may be not necessarily the mental body, but it could be an idiom, meaning directly, rather than what the commentary is suggesting here. So yeah, there is some ambiguity as to what the term can mean, but we still felt that in most contexts we can still fit it within the standard understanding of kaya, except within a few here, where it's an idiom. So,
okay, thank you.
Right.
So just briefly on our take on what is kāyagatāsati, we had a rough discussion. Actually, kāyagatāsati, if our Pali understanding is correct, gata is sort of means arriving to that state. So sugata, arriving to a blissful state. Tathagata, arriving to a true state. So tathagata, arriving to. So kāyagatāsati is the mindfulness of how the body presents itself. So in a way, it's being mindful of, at the present moment, what constitutes the body that is existing. So starting from Ekadama and the finger snap suttas, is talking about mindfulness towards what is the body currently doing.
How would you know from these two suttas?
So
how do you know it's about what the body is currently doing?
Partly from dissecting the long word kāyagatāsati. So kāyagata, how the body comes to be.
Mindful.
And sati is the mindfulness towards that process. So here from the Ekadama Sutta, mindfulness directed to the body, kāyagatāsati, is one that leads to disenchantment, dispassion, etc., to nibbana. Same thing with the finger snap. Kāyagatāsati is a practice to show that it is a very valuable practice. One that practice it even in a short brief of time is one that is worthy of offerings, and one that listens to the Buddha, follows his advice, and practice diligently.
But this applies to all the other 9 different types of meditation as well.
Yes, yeah. So in these two suttas, we can only see that it's just referring to the body. Then moving on to Ananda Sutta and Rahula Sutta is towards the foulness, and also for the Rahula Sutta, advocating to avoid the signs of beauty. There is the illusion, thinking that our body is beautiful. So actually, this kāyagatāsati in this sense is, you can see, it's more towards looking at the present moment, what is in your body right now. So to my understanding as well, Asubha mindfulness, it's not just imagining the body and thinking of it intellectually, what is inside the body, urine and all this, but actually realizing that our body right now, as it stands, has urine and gunk and all this foulness. So it's being mindful of what is making your body that's existing right now. That kind of mindfulness. Kāyagatāsati, to my understanding. So this also can apply across, when we look at the Kipsuka Tree Sutta, it's talking towards the mindfulness of, at the present moment, there are these 4 elements that make up your body. So having this sati, that the process is ongoing, and it's not just a theoretical thing that some of us tend to contemplate. And that applies across as well to the other 3 suttas. Also towards other groups' point that the kaya is not only focusing on the physical body, but also on what other components constitutes this makeup of this mind-body aggregate. So that's how it links to the jhana, the 4 stages of enlightenment, and so on. So that's our take.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.